here for live Impact News on 13 News Now Plus. My name is Eugene Daniel, and I'm joined by producer Sarah Calloway here in our studio in Hampton Roads, Virginia. And today we're actually going to go about it a special way. Typically, we're giving you live breaking news as it happens regionally or across the state or even across the country and the world. But today, we're going to take a look at the top 20 stories that you, our viewers, streamed or clicked on our website, 13newsnow.com. We have a list of the top 20. We're going to start at 20, make our way all the way down to 1. Again, these are the stories that garnered the most interaction and clicks on our website throughout 2025. Okay, Sarah, you ready to get started? Let's do it. On number 20, coming in at top 20, we have, this was a very controversial story that took place at the time. This is back in March when Armed Forces Brewing Company, which was a brewery here in Norfolk, decided it was going to relocate, saying that a local woke mob or its detractors were the ones in which pushed it to get out of the community. This was a really big announcement when they opened in 2024 coming into Norfolk. They had actually taken over a former brewery there, O'Connor Brewery, that actually closed the year prior. And Armed Forces Brewing Company had announced it would take over that space and have it to be the home of their headquarters and their inaugural brewing facility. It was brought with a lot of excitement for people with its military ties, and then also, having something in that space again after, O'Connor's decided it was not going to be there any longer. But it also hit a bit of controversy along the way because of one of its shareholders and leaders within the organization, a veteran, Robert O'Neill, and his words that he had placed on social media that were anti-LGBTQ in its rhetoric online, including calling members of that community pedophiles. And so there were people here within Norfolk, including several local groups that decided they were going to push back against this. There was a lot of pushback from multiple civic leagues in the city of Norfolk at the time. And even despite that, the Norfolk City Council ultimately first approved the permits allowing for Armed Force Brewing Company to operate. But obviously, it did not take too long before the organization said that they were going to relocate. In a statement when they announced that back in March, the CEO, Alan Beal, said the business was, quote, severely affected from a few individuals who spread outright lies about our company, our employees, and our shareholders before we even opened our doors. He said it created a toxic environment and that they would relocate to a, quote, more pro-small business, social, and economic climate. So that was in March, and I remember at the time, again, when they opened, and then the process even between that, Sarah, when people were, really kind of pushing back in the community. You had some who were like, well, give them a chance. Let's bring them into the community. This is great, small business. Ultimately, though, a year later, basically, they said, hey, this is an environment in which they felt like they could not thrive in. And that became a pretty big story at the first part of this year. So that is top 20. That is number 20 on our list. That's when Armed Forces Brewing Company said it was going to leave the city of Norfolk. Okay, going down to 19. This was a tragic story that took place at Langley Air Force Base. This is when the deadly plane crash took place, killing very well-known aerobatic pilot Rob Hyland. This was back in, I believe, April of this year. On April 24th is when that crash took place that morning. And we do have a story that we have queued up for you to kind of tell you a little bit about Rob Hyland. But ultimately, the NTSB came back with a report and said that the plane had been checked just in March, but a loose part in the plane that helped the pilot to be able to operate it more smoothly likely came loose. And that is what led to the plane ultimately losing control and crashing that day. Again, a very tragic situation. And so many people loved Rob Hyland and were fans of his abilities as a pilot. And so we actually spoke to a few people who could speak on him and his experience and the joy that he brought to people who he sought to entertain through his craft. And so we'll go ahead and play that story.
For 2 decades, his name became synonymous with defying gravity. When his Aerosports Facebook page confirmed Rob Holland was the victim in this week's crash at Langley Air Force Base, the aviation community lost a pillar. For more than 20 years in the airshow industry, Holland captured 12 U.S. National Aerobatic Championships and crowned U.S. Freestyle Aerobatic Champion 13 times. Here he is, Langley Air Force Base. Photos from the Department of Defense show he's been a Hampton Roads Air Show performer since at least 2016.
The show is just phenomenal. I've never seen anybody take a plane and just treat it like a toy in the sky.
Virginia Beach's Joseph Simchak still remembers his past performances.
Just flew over us and just did whatever he wanted to do. The plane was doing flips and the smoke coming out of it and special effects and doing dives and everything. It's like it was like just mind-blowing.
Holland leaves behind a legacy as a trailblazer in the world of aerobatics. Hundreds of thousands of fans on social media, the largest following of any civilian airshow performer in the world.
That was Alex Littlehales reporting. Again, Rob Hyland had died after that crash, and NTSB later came out with this report saying a loose part may have been the cause of that particular crash. Coming in at 18, this is an announcement that was felt across the country. It is when the Super Bowl announced that Kendrick Lamar would be the artist for the halftime show at the Super Bowl, this last one that we had. And the question that was driving people to our website that day was, how much does Kendrick Lamar get paid for the Super Bowl halftime show? And I think a lot of people may have been surprised to hear that most artists, I believe the longstanding tradition for artists when it comes to performing on the world's biggest stage is they actually don't get paid for this. Like his predecessors, Lamar, who is a multi-award-winning hip-hop artist, is not paid for his performance beyond a modest union-mandated fee. So you would think this would be a major payout for, artists who have hit the stage during the Super Bowl. Some of the great names I know offhand, like Prince and Rihanna and so many different people, they do not get this huge payout because of this. The NFL may cover the travel costs, but the long-standing tradition in the league is that this provides, and you would imagine, a huge platform for the artist, even for someone like Kendrick Lamar, and I believe he was coming up with the album at the time as well, so it was perfect timing for him. And under union agreements, it typically amounts to about $1,000 per day for rehearsals and the performance itself. So, again, I think Kendrick's probably been paid a lot more than that during his career for sure. But I don't know if you can find another audience as big as the Super Bowl and what it draws in. And even for Kendrick, that wasn't his first time being a part of the Super Bowl performance either. He was a part of the major show just a few years ago in 2022 that had Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige. And so he had been on the stage before, but not as the main solo act. And I remember, Sarah, I don't know about you, but having conversations with people who weren't familiar with Kendrick Lamar leading up to the Super Bowl halftime performance and introducing them to some of his music and them saying, oh, I listened to him a little bit before the Super Bowl. there were a lot of people who were exposed to him as an artist at that time too. So.
And looking ahead to the next Super Bowl, that one's also making waves. Maybe that one will be on our list next year.
I have a feeling it will be. Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny is going to be the artist this year. And you may have heard about this because, one, there's been a lot of conversation about Bad Bunny and the language barrier that he will likely set to break as a Spanish-speaking artist. And so people wondering if the set is going to be entirely, if not mostly, in Spanish. And what does that mean, right? There are a lot of people who are celebrating it. There have been some critics who have pushed back against it. I personally love it, right? I love that we're going to have the exposure for people, not only for an artist, but in this case, music that they may not have listened to before, but also we've had months now. You still have some months to listen to the songs, learn the songs. Sarah, I know you have your Duolingo, 400-something days in a row?
Yeah, I do have 464 days and counting. But yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, I know there would be a language barrier, but he's the #1 artist in the world.
Yeah.
And in the top, I want to say 5, if not 10, in the United States.
There you go.
So he has some reach.
Something tells me that the Super Bowl halftime committee is doing its homework. It's not just going to put anybody up there. And so I think it's going to be really entertaining. There were a lot of people who were wondering if Taylor Swift was going to be, the Super Bowl halftime performer, especially with her ties to Travis Kelce, who, played in the game just last year. They won't be this year because they're out of the playoffs now. But, that obviously did not happen. A lot of people wondering, why won't she do it? Well, here's the thing. If it's about getting a broad audience and getting eyes on you, I don't know if Taylor Swift needs that at all. I think she's good.
She's good. I would love a Taylor Swift Super Bowl halftime show, though.
Oh, yeah. Do you have I don't want to take any shine from Bad Bunny, but do you have a favorite Taylor Swift song that you'd be like, she has to do this? She's had so many albums.
She's got hit after hit after hit. I would give you like my top 20 favorite songs.
Okay.
I don't know if I could pick a favorite song.
Top 20? We could do a whole stream on the top 20 Taylor Swift songs. Oh, man, can't choose one. Well, there you have it. At 18, back in February, people wanted to know how much Kendrick Lamar would get paid for the Super Bowl halftime show. Okay, let's move to number 17 on our list. And again, these are the top 20 most clicked stories that we have on our website, 13newsnow.com this year. And so this one here was a question about flags being at half staff in Virginia back in March. And this story got a lot of people asking, because I think what was happening is we were even driving around and people were seeing that flags are at half staff. And people had questions wondering who or what they were in honor of at that time. And it happened to be in memory and respect of Virginia Supreme Court Justice Lawrence Kuntz, who passed away on March 16th earlier this year. The governor announced that the flags would be placed at half-staff at all the state and local buildings and grounds in the Commonwealth. And just a little bit about Kuntz. He served as a second chief judge of the Virginia Court of Appeals from 1985 until 1993, then a judge on the Court of Appeals from 1985 to August of 1995. Then he was a justice on the Supreme Court of Virginia from 1995 through 2011. So you're looking at more than 6 decades of his life that he gave to serving, the Commonwealth of Virginia. And rightfully so, the governor wanted to make sure that he was honored and remembered after his passing. So that was back in March. And again, it came in at number 17. At number 16, let's look here for the 16th most clicked story on our website here in 2025. And this was a big story here in the Hampton Roads area out of Newport News. This is when Newport News Shipbuilding in May announced that it was going to furlough more than 400 employees. We were able to obtain an internal email during that time that had been sent to shipyard workers earlier that day. And the president had said at that time, this is back in May, around 471 salaried shipbuilders were affected in that furlough. I know that there were a lot of questions that came after that. We were doing some reporting on that for sure as well, including our own Layla Cox, who reported that day and got the nuts and bolts for us on what that meant for the company and for the people potentially affected.
An HII Newport News Shipbuilding spokesperson tells us 471 salaried employees are now furloughed. In the email sent to shipyard workers, company president Carrie Wilkinson said the decision was not made lightly and described the furloughs as, quote, necessary next step in the shipyard's effort to improve its commitment to supporting the needs of our nation. This furlough comes just 2 weeks after Wilkinson shared a message with shipbuilders that stated they would receive higher pay effective next month. Now that has all changed for nearly 500 workers. A Newport News Shipbuilding employee impacted by the furlough, who wishes to remain anonymous out of fear of retaliation, tells 13 News Now it was a very somber morning for the impacted workers.
And you have employees, crying for their coworkers because these are the people they've seen, every day for the past 5 or 6 years. They've been working together 10 plus years. And to see everyone slowly get pulled out one by one, and they don't even give you a moment to say goodbye.
While he has no children, he worries for his colleagues who have families to feed and will be unpaid for the next several months with no future job security.
It's all unpaid. They made sure that was very clear as well. It's unpaid. We'll stay on a list if openings end up coming back to the company in about 5-6 months. They're going to reevaluate.
That furloughed employee says calling what happened a furlough and not a firing is a tactic that only benefits the company.
It's a firing, and you don't want to call it a firing so that you don't have to, pay out severance or go through those different things with the state and your Navy contracts.
And the timing of it was interesting, too, as you just heard Layla Cox reporting there at that time, because that came after the Navy Secretary John Phelan said that all shipbuilding contracts would be under review to what he had called the shipbuilding shortfall, and that had come during a trip to Hampton Roads in April of this year. And so, the timing of all of that had people asking questions. It did have people concerned at the time. And so, rightfully so, I think that's why it was one of the most clicked on stories at that time. Back in the first half of the year. Okay, Sarah, I think we're ready to go to 15. I think we're on number 15, our top 15 story. And this was an interesting case of where social media really drove a lot of conversation statewide. Okay, you may remember this. Here's the story headline. When Virginia State Police debunked internet rumors of a statewide mass kidnapping. There was a viral social media post, if you remember, this was back in August, that had pushed out that the Commonwealth was a place where mass kidnapping was taking place. And it was being shared everywhere. There were so many people doing spots on TikTok and sharing things on social media about this for sure. And the information was just spreading so quickly. And it turned out that state police, we had to go to them and say, hey, look, there's so many people sharing this information. We need to know what is valid and what is not. Do we have mass kidnappings or a bunch of children who are missing across the state? We did have a story from that. Our Brianna Fallon did this one. And so let's go ahead and listen to that story. And then on the back end, we'll fill in anything that's kind of updated from it.
Take a good look at your screen here. These are some of the many videos that quickly spread on TikTok, creating several conspiracies of a mass kidnapper on the loose.
Those kids that are missing in Virginia are definitely being trafficked.
However, according to Virginia State Police, that's not true. They say they're not even seeing a spike or surge in missing children. VSP says last week, 88 children were reported missing to the Virginia Missing Children's Clearinghouse. That's 11 less reports than the 2025 weekly average. But according to VSP, most of those children reported missing are runaways, noting many returned shortly after their family reports them missing. Even though VSP says there's no investigation into any mass abductions, they want to remind folks to always take precautions to keep children safe, such as never leaving a child alone in a car and making sure your child knows not to trust strangers.
So that was Brianna Fallon reporting. And, still even to this day, Sarah, I've gotten recently people asking me, whatever happened to all of those kids who were, abducted, and having to really point them to this story and to what state police said as well, that they're not seeing a large spike in kids who have A, been reported missing, and B, who are still missing. A lot of the children who do get reported, and we run them every single time we get them here at our station. If there's a child who is missing, we will run that on air and say, hey, police, families are looking for this particular child or person. Obviously, if there's an alert, like an Amber Alert or a Cody Alert, we send out that information, and you get that information because it goes to your phone, an emergency alert. But oftentimes what we see is those children, the minors, they will go missing, and it's not long before they are found. We get the notice that, hey, such and such has been found safely. So that was the story, though. It was so wildly spread that we had to do something, but it also speaks to the power of social media as well. So that was coming in at number 15. All right, let's go to number 14, Sarah. Number 14 on our list, we have another story about why flags are at half staff. And this one actually was not in honor of a person, but for a day. This is when Governor Youngkin ordered that the flags would be flown at half staff. This was on August 21st in honor of National Fentanyl Prevention and Awareness Day. We know that that has been a big issue across the country, and it has been a leading focus of the Youngkin administration to combat against fentanyl and its effects on the communities here in Virginia. And so that particular day was a day in which the governor said that they wanted to advance awareness and education and prevention efforts in the state of Virginia. And so that was back in August. A lot of people still had questions about that, too, because anytime you see flags at half staff, you're wondering what potentially happened. So that was number 14. Number 13. All right. Snow, and more snow. This was back in January. We've had a few times this year where we have accumulated snow. But this was in January when we were looking at the snow totals across our region. And, man, we got a good little bit that particular time frame. We look at some video from it. Look at the snow there. And you have to imagine, if you're not from Hampton Roads, Virginia, anytime you get snow, it's a big deal. But especially if it's enough snow where it can cover something and you can go out there and experience it for yourself. I think there were areas that time, let's see, in the Eastern Shore, about 2 inches. On the peninsula, it was about 1.5 inches to 2.5 in Hampton, up to 3 inches and 4 inches on the south side, mainly in like Chesapeake and in the Virginia Beach area. And it was, decent. It was decent enough for people to go out and to experience. that time of year. We've had a few different times this year where we've had snow events, but that one in January definitely generated. And I can't remember. I feel like, Sarah, too, that would have been the first real snow. I mean, it was back in January. I think that was the first real snow of the year, too.
Yeah, I think we had 2 snows in January. Like, we had a lot of snow this year.
We did. This was for Hampton Roads. This was a very
a lot.
Yeah, air quotes. We did though. We did because you had January and then we had, I think, more snow in later on in the early portion of the year, and most snow I think this year. I'm not a meteorologist, but the most snow that I've experienced throughout a single calendar year has been this year here in Hampton Roads. I've lived in other places we had more snow, so that's all I'm saying. But since I've been here, this has been the most snow events that I can remember in one calendar year. Would you agree? You've been here longer than me.
The years blur together. I would say this is the most like separate events that I've seen. Usually we have like one big snow, again, big snow.
Yeah.
And then we're done. But this time it just felt like it was like every other week we were getting snow. So.
Okay. Yeah. It's been an interesting year. You know, it's a good one if you love snow and you move to Virginia. If you move to Virginia because you don't like snow, then maybe you want 2026 to come a little bit faster. Okay, let's get to a story, Sarah, that I know you're really excited about. This is number 12, and this is when HGTV named 3 Virginia towns among America's most charming downtowns. And if you're wondering what those towns are, here they are. Cape Charles, which is not too far from where we are located right now. And you have Charlottesville and Middleburg. Now, Sarah, tell those who are unfamiliar with, I know you love, was it Charlottesville? You said that I really like it too, but I know one of these was like really something that an area you enjoy.
I love the Charlottesville downtown mall. I just love Charlottesville in general. I feel like Middleburg is kind of similar. That's closer to Northern Virginia, DC. They also have a lot of wineries and breweries there. I know a lot of weddings that have taken place there. And weirdly enough, even though I've lived here like my entire life, I don't think I've ever been to Cape Charles.
You know what's
like
funny?
The downtown area.
I have on multiple occasions, and I've gone to the beach there in that area on Cape Charles, and it's so cool because you get in there and it's just like a little small little hub area, but you have your pizza shop that's right there, your ice cream shop that's next to the pizza shop. It's beautiful too, and it was so quaint and cool, and I wanted to actually stay the night there, but ended up doing like a day trip and coming back the first time, and I think the second time I went was after a day that had a story out there, and I just stayed out there before I came back. But it's not far away. You should go up there. There's a nice eateries too in the area. You should definitely it's a really cool like day trip, I thought.
I've probably been I've been all over the Eastern Shore, throughout the years. I just am not super familiar with like the different areas, so maybe at some point I'll make a trip out there specifically to see Cape Charles.
Yeah, I have a photo. They have a really cool display, a big sign, creative sign that spells out love. That's right there by the beach. And so it is really, really cool. Great photo opportunity. And like I said, pizza, ice cream, all that kind of stuff, a coffee house. And then they have like a really cool place where you can just stay there. If you haven't checked out Cape Charles, do it, but I'm with you too. I haven't been to Middleburg, but Charlottesville, you know how I feel about wine. And that, for me, is a great, great place to go and have some great wine, go to some great vineyards, spend some days there in the area too. So that was pretty big. HGTV naming those towns among America's most charming downtowns back in September. A lot of people were interested in that. Okay, switching gears a little bit in our tenor here at number 11. This was a tragedy out of Portsmouth where two people were shot in a shopping center in Portsmouth. This was back in February, on February 23rd. At the time, two men had been sent to a hospital, and their injuries were life-threatening. And this is after there was a shooting inside of a smoke shop there. And this case got a lot of attention at the time because of not only obviously the serious nature of it with the injuries, but after that, there was video that was surfacing with this particular case, and it was one of those situations where people were wondering, okay, what led to it? Could it be a case of wrong place at the wrong time, being inside of that particular shop? What if you would have been inside that shop and that would have taken place? And so that was back in February again, inside of that shop there with that shooting, and a lot of people were just wondering exactly what could have happened. I do believe we have a package from that too, from our own Emily Harrison, the day that took place. So let's go ahead and cue that up to give us a little bit of the nuts and bolts.
Portsmouth police have blocked off this entire shopping center as they investigate this double shooting here at the shops at Town Point. The center of their investigation looking like it's taking place inside one of the specific stores here at this shopping complex, and a store called The Smoke Guys, and outside in the parking lot.
I don't feel safe. I even told my boss, I was like, can you please get us some security?
Employees stood outside waiting for the all clear from Portsmouth police as detectives investigated a double shooting early Sunday morning. No one was allowed in or out as police say someone opened fire at the shopping center.
I mean, I feel sorry for whoever got shot. I don't know what happened. I don't know circumstances, but the violence, it just gets worse and worse every day. I'm like, what's going on? Like, people can't even go anywhere.
Investigators did not say what led up to the shooting or if a suspect was in custody. An employee who did not want to appear on camera told 13 News Now she called 911 after a woman went running into her store begging her to get help as the shooting took place. Those who work in nearby shops say it's not the first time violence has touched this community.
They've gotten robbed. Somebody had got stabbed, somebody got shot, they broke the glass, they're trying to just do the most. Like, I don't know why people are doing the most.
The double shooting in Portsmouth comes less than 48 hours after two Virginia Beach police officers died while on duty. Neighbors say this level of violence is unacceptable.
What's going on with the world? I just got to pray for America because there's just too much going on. People die too much every day. It's just too much going on.
Emily Harrison, 13 News Now.
And police were able to make an arrest in that particular case. A 19-year-old was arrested and charged with several offenses at that time. And they said that they were able, I talked about the footage that police say that they were able to obtain from inside of the shop. And our crews were able to see that footage as well, that had appeared to show that the 19-year-old who was arrested entered the business and then was followed by the two victims into the business. Well, then a physical altercation, a fight took place between one of the victims who was 17 and the 19-year-old. And during that, the person who was arrested shot the boy and the other victim who was an 18-year-old. The suspect then fled from that area and firing another shot at the 18-year-old who was crawling away inside of that business, and then fled the scene. They were able to catch up to him later on and arrest him. And so that footage really did provide a lot of conversation around that particular case of what happened inside and led to the arrest there. But you heard from Emily Harrison there that had happened just around the time of another major story that took place in the Hampton Roads area that we're going to get to in just a bit, that's on our top 20 list. But certainly that particular case was a big one at that time back in February. Okay, Sarah, we are at number 10. We're now in the top 10, and this is well, we're getting back into a weather type of situation, if I'm not mistaken. This was just, we had a very cold span in March. This was early March of this year, and it just, man, it was bitterly cold. And I do believe that March 2 was around the time frame. I think we had some more snow sometime in that month as well. I think so too. But it was interesting. We were looking at the top 10 stories that this was something that people really wanted to get into, and it was a forecast. It was a forecast story. A lot of people go to our website for the forecast, obviously. And on this particular day in March, it was just very, very cold. And so that was one of those that we had too as well. So let's get into number 9. This is a story that was interesting to me for sure. What salary do you need to live comfortably in Virginia in 2025? There was a study that said if you want to live comfortably, keyword comfortably, whatever definition that is for you, in Virginia, it will require a 6-figure income, with singles requiring about $106,000 a year. This was according to Smart Asset, a study that that group put out, and said a single adult in Virginia needed to earn $106,000, $106,704 to be exact, a year to live comfortably, which was up from $99,000 or just under $100,000 in 2024. Now, for a family of 4, it said that you would need to have $241,000, around $241,000 or $242,000 a year, in order to be comfortable. And according to Smart Asset, that listed Virginia 17th in the country for income needed to support a family of 4. Before we even get into the model that they use there, Sarah, I remember what I felt at that time. I was like, really, you need $106,240-something if I had a family of 4? And I know a lot of people were responding to it on Facebook. I shouldn't laugh because it's not funny. They're like, well, I guess we'll never be comfortable. We got a lot of responses from that. What did you think when you saw that?
I thought it was a lot.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on what your definition of comfortable is, like you mentioned before. I mean,
there's a lot of people who don't make that. So are they uncomfortable every day? Would they say they're uncomfortable? I don't know. I don't know if we ever were able to define, even in looking at the stories from this, Sarah, were we able to get their definition of what comfortable even means? I don't think we did. No. She's like, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I will tell you how they did the study, though. They used the 50-30-20 budgeting model, which means 50% of income toward necessities, so housing, food, and healthcare. 30% towards discretionary spending, so dining out and hobbies, and 20% towards savings or debt payment. And they said that rising housing costs, inflation, and then everyday expenses were among the factors that pushed the numbers higher across the state. And again, the key word, though, I think for a lot of people is comfortable, because we know that most people don't make 6 figures. So interesting there. Okay, that was number 9, and here at number 8, I'm actually surprised that this isn't higher on our list, to be honest with you, because this for sure was one of the biggest stories in our community all year long. And this is when 2 Virginia Beach police officers were killed in the line of duty. This happened back in February, and just absolutely still to this day is heartbreaking and hits the community hard there in Virginia Beach particularly. We're talking about officers Cameron Gervin and Christopher Reese, who went out on duty that day and did not make it home. Gervin had been with the police department since 2020, Reese since 2022, though Reese was prior with the Virginia Beach Sheriff's Office, and this came after an encounter with an individual that they followed their car to a dead end. Police say that when they approached that car, the driver became aggressive immediately. Immediately started to get into an argument with the officers and refused to get out. Police say that the driver, who was later identified as 42-year-old John McCoy, got out of the car. He pulled out a gun and shot both of the officers twice before walking away from that scene. And that person was later found in a shed behind an apartment complex near where he lived, and he had shot himself. But in the days and weeks after, we had a lot of coverage on these two police officers and what they meant to the department, what they meant to their communities, and their loved ones, and covering their services as well. I know I was in here the day that their services took place when we live streamed the services right here, broadcast them on 13 News Now Plus, broke in on air as well, so that people who were not able to attend could pay their respects, at least virtually. But it brought out people from across the country to be there that day. We do have a story from our reporter, Alex Littlehales. Oh, we don't? Okay. Madison Schlegel. Okay, sorry about that. We have a report from Madison Schlegel on this tragedy, and we'll go ahead and play that now.
As Amazing Grace played this evening, hundreds of people remembered the lives of Christopher Reese and Cameron Gervin during a service at Rock Church in Virginia Beach. The church filled with family, loved ones, and law enforcement agencies from across the country. At the service, we heard from Virginia Beach Police Department Chief Paul Newdigate.
There's 800,000 officers throughout this country, and that seems like a large number. But when one of us gets hurt, we are a small community.
Chief Newdigate commending the officers' work on the Virginia Beach Police Department force, recognizing the men and women who defend the public streets every day.
The heart of the police department is the officers on the street, and that's Cam and Chris.
Cameron Gervin's wife, Jessica, thanking her husband for the years they had together and the love she'll give to their soon-to-be-born daughter.
I got to experience more love and life in our 9 years together than I think a lot of people do in a lifetime. And while today, I'm quite frankly very angry and really heartbroken, like many of you, I'm also immensely blessed to have been his best friend and wife, even if it wasn't for nearly long enough.
A family friend of Officer Christopher Reese extending his thoughts to the wives of the fallen officers, saying the community shares their grief.
To Mariah and Jess, your husbands were loved and are still loved by many people. We know that no words will ever fill that void in your hearts, but take peace in knowing that they have never left your side and will always be with you.
Officers Gervin and Reese relieved from their watch a final time by an honor guard.
This is the final call for 443 Charles, Officers Cameron Gervin and Christopher Reese. End of watch February 22nd, 2025, after losing their lives in the ultimate sacrifice. You have been relieved. Rest easy. We have the watch from here.
And that was Madison Schlegel reporting there. Again, that tragedy struck us all here in the Hampton Roads community, and was one of the biggest tragedies I think that we reported on all year, and that came in at number 8 there on our list. Number 7 was a situation that garnered national attention from a state championship track meet. You may recall this is when a Portsmouth track athlete was caught on video hitting another athlete with her baton. This was in the VHSL championships, and we were able to speak to the father at the time, who said that it was accidental, but this really got a lot of people talking, and it had made national news at that time as well. And again, the father saying it was accidental. The other family of the other student who was hit by the baton really wanted to push for more at the time. The city of Lynchburg, where the actual championships took place, confirmed to us at that time that a petition for assault and battery had been issued, and that that was something that was going on in that moment. This is back in March. We do have a story on this too, I believe, with Shane Fordham. No, we do not. Okay, so we don't have a story with this one, but again, that was a story that was huge across the country, with people being interested in what took place there. And again, the family from here in Portsmouth and that student was very adamant that what took place was accidental, despite what people may have thought with the footage that took place, that they saw there coming out of those state championships. All right, the next one we have is number 6. The largest great white shark ever recorded in the Atlantic had pinged off the Outer Banks coast. I feel like, when it came to, marine life, between, situations when it came to whales this year, sharks, we had a lot of stories in that kind of category this year. But this was recorded about 22 miles off of the coast of Cape Hatteras. Again, it's the Atlantic Ocean's largest recorded great white shark, called Contender. And people were really interested in this. I was a little surprised that so many people were asking and clicking on this particular story. But again, Contender is the largest adult male ever recorded in the Atlantic, nearly 14 feet long, weighing more than 1,600 pounds, believed to be about 32 years old. And the nonprofit research group OSearch tagged him in January, roughly 45 miles off of the Florida-Georgia coast, and began tracking him since then. This story was in June, as you see there, that he came really, really close here to our area. So that comes in for us, though, really, really close to number 1 at number 6. Number 5 was a closings story, early dismissals. This was in December. I do believe this was for another winter storm we've been talking about.
Yeah, just a few weeks ago, actually.
Yeah. We were talking about how many winter storms it feels like we've had just this year here in Virginia, which for us is just not something that I can remember. My 5 years we've had, I feel like we just had more, or at least the ones that we've had have been more significant. So that was just a few weeks ago here. For people obviously wanting to know if their kids had to go to school. And remember the days, Sarah, when you had to wake up and watch TV and watch the crawl at the bottom to see if your school was going to be delaying or not. And now they have the ability just to get online and click on our website, click on the story, get some sent to them on social media. Man, these kids, they got it easy nowadays. Sarah's laughing at me. They have it easy. We had to still wake up and watch and wait for and not, don't let you have a school that has like a S, a T, or a U in it. You had to wait for them all to go through.
They'll never know the thrill.
Or the pain. Yeah. To wait through it all and notice that your school is not out. Okay. All right. So that's number 5. And then number 4, this is a story that is still garnering national attention because it has led to so many other stories. This is the disappearance and death of Navy sailor Angelina Resendez. This is the story that came from June, nearly 2 weeks after she was reported missing from her barracks at Naval Station Norfolk. She was found dead in the woods of an area in a community of Norfolk. And I remember early on in the process, I was the first one to actually speak and have a conversation on camera with her mother. This is prior to Angelina being found. And, Esmeralda Castle is her mom. The amount of strength that she has displayed in this entire ordeal has been just incredible. The updates that we have since she was first reported missing back in May and then found in June for many have been devastating. The Navy is currently has in custody one of their own, Jeremiah Copeland, another sailor who has been charged for Angelina's death. But not only that, we've also since learned that the Navy was already investigating him for other cases of assaults and inappropriate nature against other women, including sailors, and then some accusations against him of people who were not on base. And so that is currently an update there, that he has been charged and that we know his trial, the Navy form of a trial, is set right now to happen in June. And we did catch up with Esmeralda Castle in her home in Texas. And I'll go ahead and have us play that story now with Brianna Fallon. This, I believe, is after Angelina's body was found in Norfolk.
These kids come up missing and nobody really says anything, right? They're people that are in charge, like, they're not important. And then we find, their remains, right? In fields somewhere. That's what I'm not hoping not to find. I'm hoping to find her.
That's what Seaman Angelina Resendez's mother, Esmeralda Castle, said less than 24 hours before Naval Criminal Investigative Service confirmed they found the missing sailor's remains in Norfolk.
Angie stopped, and Angie doesn't stop. Angie can't help but talk to people. Somebody would know where she's at.
Resendez first went missing from Naval Station Norfolk on May 29th. According to NCIS, yesterday, a body was found in a wooded area near Broad Creek Apartments in Norfolk. This afternoon, authorities confirmed that body was Resendez, impacting not only her family, but the Norfolk community.
That's the part that hits hard because she was a working person for the United States of America.
An NCIS spokesperson says a Navy sailor was placed in pretrial confinement in connection with Resendez's death, facing pending charges under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. In a statement to 13 News Now, Castle said she and her family remain, quote, unwavering in their pursuit of justice.
She's a real person. She's a human being. She has a family. And you know what? She belongs to everyone. She's everyone's daughter. And we can't just treat our children this way, our families this way, the people we love this way.
In the process, since this reporting, not only has Esmeralda Castle joined with other civil rights groups in pushing for change within the Navy and the military when it comes to individuals who are missing, but also she is now running for elected office in Texas, running to represent there in the House there in Texas, and so as a state representative. And so a lot of things have taken place in her life. Obviously, she is using this tragic situation and trying to make change in her communities and for the country at the time. And that was her at the end of that report. Okay, let's get into our top three now. And Sarah, I'm going to bring you in for the next ones because you did a lot of work here. People were really curious about the new laws that were going to take effect in Virginia. And so we have several laws that have now kicked in and some that will kick in soon at the start of the year. But number three was the list of new Virginia laws that went into effect back in July or January. These were going January. I think I skipped to number two. Okay, here we go. Number three are the ones that will take into effect in January. This post was actually just a few weeks ago in December. And just give you a quick a few of them. One of those is the minimum wage will rise under the Virginia Minimum Wage Act. Statewide minimum wage will go up to $12.77 per hour. You also have tighter baby food safety rules. This is part of the Baby Food Protection Act. Prohibits the sale or distribution of baby food products in Virginia if that food contains toxic heavy metals like arsenic, lead, mercury. That's in there as well. And it also expands consumer data and social media protections. And there are a few other things that were listed there. Again, that was one of the top stories there, top 3, looking ahead to the new laws that will take effect in January of this upcoming year. Now, number two was back in June, looking to the laws that went into effect back in July. Sarah, I will let you take this away because you actually did the reporting on this.
I did, and it was a while ago, so I might need to refresh my memory, but there were 2 specific laws that I reported on that were in connection with driving. So one, it requires all adults. Let me double check this because this is the article. And it will require all, let me find it. Okay, so it requires all adults to buckle up in Virginia. So believe it or not, the Virginia seatbelt law requires all passengers, including those in the back seat, to wear a seatbelt when the vehicle is moving. Previously, there was no rule for people in the back seat.
Which I never knew that.
Yeah.
I did not know that before we started reporting on this, that you were not required to wear a seatbelt in the back seat.
Yes.
It kind of always made sense that you should be required to wear a seatbelt if you're in the back seat.
Yes, and the other law, so that one was championed by a mom who lost her son in a crash. There was another law championed by another mother who lost her son in a crash. That one requires, it basically is a penalty for any driver, an adult, who knowingly lets an unlicensed driver, specifically I think teen drivers, drive while they are the one that's with them.
Yeah. It's specifically, for teen drivers. And I believe it's teen drivers who don't have a license as well to be able to do that, or are not supposed to be driving on their own. Just a few laws, traffic laws that you think, okay, those make sense, and you realize, how is that not already a law? But we did have several that went into effect back in July. I was thinking you're going to play your package, Sarah, too, to see it, but she's not doing it.
No.
All right, so that was number 2, which brings us to number 1. And I tell you, I was shocked to see that this was the top story on our website, in part because, I remember the conversations surrounding this, but I didn't know how many people were sharing this. Okay. If you remember back in June, there was a sighting of warships in the Virginia Beach area, and there were a lot of people trying to figure out what in the world was going on. And it was a military exercise bringing international forces to the area. Okay, so these warships had gathered in Virginia Beach for the Atlantic Alliance 2025. It was bringing together the U.S., Netherlands, and UK forces for a major training exercise along the East Coast. The issue was people didn't know what they were seeing. So residents were waking up to see all of these U.S. Navy ships parked in the Chesapeake Bay, trying to figure out what in the world is going on. And so it was, I think, around the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel is kind of where people were seeing it. Again, this was this ongoing training exercise, and it was just bringing these warships to Fort Story in Virginia Beach. And I think the exercise included more than 25 Navy and Marine Corps units as well for that training exercise. And it was interesting because we got so many emails and calls into the station trying to figure out what was going on, and it just blew up online. And it turned out that it was, just a training exercise that was going on, but definitely a sight to see. That topped our top 20 list of 2025. There's so many other stories that obviously took place this year, so many big stories. We could probably do a top 25, a top 30 for some of the ones that did not make the list. But we also want to take time to say thank you for those who continue to come to us for news and searching our website, sticking with us here on the 13 News Now Plus app, watching us linear on TV as well on 13 News Now. Your continued support and viewership helps us a lot in what we do. And so those are the stories that you, the viewer, found the most interesting throughout the year online. And we'll see as 2026 starts what will crack the list next year. All right, that's all we got here on Live Impact News, this special edition. Myself, Eugene Daniel, alongside producer Sarah Calloway. Thanks. Have a good day.